There was a really nice moment in the car on the way back from Courthouse. I just came back from this court case in Chiang Mai, in which technically I believe I am a witness. Anyway, the new lawyer, if we get into the details, you're going to realize there is an old lawyer and a new lawyer in this case. Uh, the new lawyer was talking to me, and she never mentioned before, that she is herself some kind of vegetarian. She was asking me what my reasons were for being vegan, what my reasons were for not eating meat at all, rather than just avoiding it. And she admitted she is almost vegan. She says she can't quit eggs. There's something about eggs that she loves, that's something she can't get over with whatever it is she likes about eggs. But she's otherwise on the vegan spectrum, let's say. Anyway, I was speaking in a mix of Thai and Laotian, and it was many, many years ago I studied those languages. So my ability to say much of anything at all was halting and broken. But, I said to her, don't kill animals. And she said, really? Is that really your reason? I said, yeah, and I couldn't remember the word entire Laotian for ecology and the other things I couldn't remember. I said, some people eat a vegan diet to be beautiful. I could say that. Some eat a vegan diet to be thin. That's not me. That's not motivated. No. I think you should not kill animals unless there's some really good reason. So for me, it's about not killing animals. So she kind of pushed me on that a little bit. She was a little bit skeptical. That was really what motivated me for whatever reason. I don't know. I don't know who else she's been talking to about veganism, whatever. And then she said that was her reason too. And she admitted at that point, she said that she realized it didn't make sense for her to eat eggs. And I was saying to her again in this mix of Thai and Laotian, I was like, well, if you eat eggs, it's really terrible suffering for the chickens in the cages. But she volunteered the information. Oh, too many buttons. I'm done here. She volunteered the information. We're going to get banned off YouTube. She volunteered the information. She said that, she's seen cows being slaughtered and it's so sad, the look in their eyes and so on. She said that she really saw the suffering of the animals. So it was a really nice, unexpected denouement of this case. It was a long drive. We talked further about ethics of being vegan in Thai, Laotian, and of course, some English. I wouldn't have been able to have that conversation at all if she had no ability to speak English. But a mix of the three. Anyway, it was a nice little moment of contact with the original reason that brought us all here, that brought me to Chiang Mai on that trip and created this conflict that's still playing out in the courthouse today. Was supposed to be about the future of the movement, guys. Supposed to be about the future of the vegan movement. And instead, what this has mostly been about is the struggle of people who have no intellectual substance and no moral integrity. Their struggle to feel superior to people who do have intellectual substance, who do have some kind of depth, and who do have personal integrity. Now, of course, partly describing the motivations of Durianrider himself. Think about all his little followers. Think about all the people who jumped on the bandwagon. What was their motivation? What was in it for them? Think about Klaus over at Plant-Based News, who knew me for years before this controversy. And he at least knew of me for more than 1 year. And I'd seen him talking about me. He did a podcast with another YouTuber, and they were talking about, I know he didn't just know my channel. We were far fewer than 6 degrees separation. You have someone like Klaus at Plant-Based News jumping on the bandwagon. No fact checking, not even one Google search. Repeating lies Durianrider made up for a huge argument, a huge audience. Sorry. What's his motivation? What's the motivation for someone like Vegan Ava? A lot of you guys won't remember her, but there were a lot of people like Vegan Ava who jumped on Durianrider's bandwagon, some of whom deleted the videos when I got in touch with them and said, look, guys, we've now had the court case. Like, we've established the facts of the case. Do you maybe want to delete the videos? But of course, the vast majority of them did not. More people just quit veganism than quit lying about me within the vegan movement. It's crazy. Because there are people whose YouTube channels disappeared for those reasons, where the whole channel disappeared. They didn't do it because they realized it said had done something wrong. What motivated those people? You know, I don't think it's really that they want to take me down a peg. I don't think it's really that they hated me. I think it's that they wanted to hurt somebody like me. I think it's that they wanted to feel powerful. They wanted to feel strong. They wanted to feel smart. They wanted to feel right. And of course, for a lot of these people, that's why they're in the vegan movement to begin with. It's a chance for them to lord their superiority over others. I feel uncomfortable using a sentence like that because I know a lot of my viewers don't speak English as a first language. To use the word lord as a verb, to lord your superiority over others, it's a kind of gloating in plain English. You know, a lot of these people got on YouTube and got involved in the movement, got involved in making videos, whether backing up Durianrider specifically or anything to do with veganism, because they wanted to engage in a kind of gloating. And from the start, you know, Durianrider tried to depict me not as an idiot, not as dumb, not as a fool, but as like an evil genius who should be taken down a peg. And, you know, for that segment of the public, for these people who were really stupid, really malicious, had no intellectual substance of their own and no personal integrity, it was their chance to try to destroy someone who very obviously was the opposite. And someone who'd stepped into the vegan demi-monde on YouTube, stepped into this category of content, and someone who had been pointing out with sufficient erudition. It didn't take much. It didn't take hours of research, but someone who's pointing out with sufficient erudition that, for example, what Durianrider was saying about being able to eat an infinite number of calories while losing weight, that, you know, scientifically, logically, and rationally, this is impossible. It was just not right. That what Durianrider was saying under quite a number of different headings, but including the diet advice, it was probably what he and his followers cared about most. I was able to refute and overturn that stuff. And I was able to talk a lot about doing the right thing just because it's the right thing to do, in contrast to somebody who had no interest in and no capacity for anything like that. You know, it was a kind of vengeful, resentful, you know, lashing out at somebody for actually being the very thing those other people pretend to be. I mean, all of those people, including Vegan Ava, who 5 minutes later became ex-vegan and anti-vegan, by the way. Vegan Ava and Durianrider, we could add a whole bunch of names to this list. Most of them names everyone has forgotten by now. How about Joe Best? You know, Joe Best, great example. Vegan Ava, Joe Best, Durianrider. They felt this was their chance to proclaim themselves as people who were trying to save the planet. You know, this notion of vegan movement, trying to save the planet through veganism. And on the other hand, at the same time, right, this was about sexual purity. This is about how morally pure these people were compared to me. It's just nuts. So, like, you know, we now, even if you don't want to know, you probably know quite a lot about the sex life of Durianrider because he puts it on the internet himself, and some of his ex-girlfriends put it on the internet themselves too. Okay, so like the claim is, like, you know, the story they're presenting to the world is that I should be judged and pilloried and kicked out of the vegan movement because of how I conduct myself in my sex life compared to Durianrider, compared to Vegan Ava, compared to Joe Best. Like, Joe Best has had his own scandals and controversies, and I've talked to the guy. I mean, I know that not everything said about him on the internet is true. I know that, you know, I know. Like, okay, compared to the life lived by Joe Best, you know, I'm to be judged as a person of no substance. But yeah, those are people who were taking a stand on like exactly these same issues I was taking a stand on, but they were taking that stand on feet of clay. They were complete hypocrites. They're people of no substance, at all. And I think their hatred of me in many ways was a kind of mourning for the better person they were aware they could be. Like, if you're actually living the Durianrider lifestyle, or you're coming on YouTube and making a serious effort to create that illusion, riding a bicycle 200 kilometers, it's dull, man. It's dull. And you might think you can like reflect and think a lot while doing that. You can't really. Like, you can't really get engrossed in thought. You can't think about anything deeply while doing long distance cycling. If anything, you're locked in a kind of thoughtless state because you have to pay attention to everything around you. You also have to pay attention to your own body and how hard you're working. I mean, it's unique. At the gym, you can let your mind wander while doing a bench press, while doing arm curls, any repetitive weightlifting exercise at the gym. You can let your mind wander. But when you are traveling over tarmac, when you're traveling over cement, over pavement on a racing bike, whether it's uphill, downhill, or flat, you really can't let your mind wander. You can't get deeply absorbed in thought. These are people living their lives being an athlete and telling the world how happy they are with their vegan diet. And on some level, they know how ignorant they are. They know. Some of them were high school dropouts. Some of them were college dropouts. And some of them probably had completed formal education. But, they're aware that they didn't learn anything in their formal education. And by the way, I didn't either. Everything I learned was outside of it, in addition to. It's what I taught myself that mattered, not what I learned in that formal education. And, you see all these people across the board, again, including Klaus from Plant-Based News, including somebody like that, including that journalist at the Gawker, right? Including people who are supposedly professional journalists covering this case. It's not really that they wanted to hurt me. It's that they wanted to take someone like me down a peg. And how many people are there like me on YouTube? Not even just within veganism, but anywhere. And remember, Durianrider's defamation of me, it wasn't just sexual defamation. That's the main thing you have to deal with, like in court. It was defamation of my character sexually. And of course, there were the threats of violence, all this stuff. But you remember, he also went after me claiming that I had never been a scholar of Buddhism, right? Claiming that like that part of my life was a lie. He went after me claiming I didn't really have a university degree. Like, why would I lie about that? Like, I'm not proud of my university degree. It's just part of my life. But like, if you watch any of my videos, like I'm complaining about how awful the university I went to was. Like, why would I have this in-depth critique of how bad the university was if I'd never been to university? Like, no sense. But like, he was really going after all of the elements that substantiated my claim to being intellectual. I remember on his blog, on his Tumblr, even posts claiming that like the website showing that I delivered a lecture at Oxford University and like things linking me to Oxford University and Cambridge. Oh no, man, that's all fake. Like, he didn't really do that stuff, And at that time already, there were bits and pieces of the life I lived all over the internet. There was a lot of evidence that I'd done this in Cambodia, I'd done this in Laos, I'd done this at Cambridge and Oxford. It's just, the particular type of ill will. Like, think about how negatively that reflects on the people involved, including Durianrider, but not just limited to Durianrider, right? Like, you don't just want to go after me. You don't want to go after my mom, my dad, which they did, right? They denounced my whole family. And you don't just want to like disagree with me about advice on a vegan diet or like the best thing to do with the politics of the movement. No. You want to destroy me and take away what you presume I'm proud of. Like, these people are so fucking ignorant. They have no idea like that someone like me is not proud that they graduated from the University of Toronto. I utterly despise the University of Toronto. I will regret for the rest of my life that I studied at the University of Toronto. I look down on it as this terrible thing. But like someone as podunk ignorant as Durianrider and Vegan Ava and Joe Best. Joe Best is a great example. Joe Best is sitting there like, oh, this all must be a smokescreen. They have to take away from me what they think is my source of pride, that I'm a university graduate, that I was a scholar of Buddhism, like anything I've accomplished in my life. They have to go after it all. And that is what they did. And this is worth saying, because again, it's easy to forget. Like, it's natural that people are going to focus on the most outlandish claims, the claims that are the most criminal, and like what we're presenting in court now, what the lawyers are dealing with, right? They had to claim every element of my career was a fraud. My being a teacher, they had to claim was fake, that I wasn't really a professor in China, teaching English at the university level. Like, yes, I was. There was so much evidence of this. People claiming I wasn't in China at all. That was a fake story. Like, why would anyone do that? Like, why? Like, what motivates you? What do you find gratifying or rewarding about claiming that I'm not teaching English at the university level, and thus, by the Chinese definition, I'm a professor at a university? I know it's not the same as having a PhD, but I never misrepresented that. That's what I was doing. I was an ESL teacher in a university. Like, you see, like, in their minds, they're so, frankly, they're so low that they look up at that and resent it. Like, oh, this is a guy who teaches at university level. Like, you're going to take me down a peg by claiming that that's fictional rather than factual, right? Just mind-blowing. It's like the particular type of malice, the particular type of resentment, and the way in which those people found it rewarding to try to destroy my life, to try to make up lies about my sex life, to make up lies about my marriage, about my divorce, about my daughter. Yes, there was a lot of anti-Semitism. The fact that I am genetically Jewish, although I'm an atheist, not a practicing Jew in that sense. The fact that my mother before me is genetically Jewish. And again, she's an atheist. She's certainly not part of the religion in that sense. That never was during my life. If she was ever more religious, it was before I was born. I don't know about that. Oh. One of the questions asked in court today, it totally makes sense to have to ask this question is, when these lies were told about you, did people believe them? And this is not an exact verbatim quote. Legally, it's more precise the way they asked the question than that. But I said, yes. Like, before this happened, I didn't think people were this stupid. I didn't think people were this malicious, or I thought it was a tiny percentage of people. It was a tiny exception. And we're here having this court case because guess what? 90% of people are that stupid. 90% of people are that malicious. Now, I mean, the particular character of someone like Durianrider, of someone like Vegan Ava, of someone like Joe Best, of someone like Klaus from Plant-Based News Network. Yeah, it's more than just stupidity. It's more than just malice. I think it's worth reflecting on. Why did they find this gratifying? Why did it make them happy to do this to me? Why did they get glee out of this? Because the stories they made up about me, the accusations, the allegations, the defamation, the stories they made up about me, if that were true, or if you had a basis to believe it was true, there was some evidence you had, why would it make you happy to hear that? Why would it make you happy to do your bit in destroying my life, in tearing me down? It still doesn't make any sense. There were people I know terrible things about. Like, there are people in this audience. I'll be real with you. I know a lot about the private lives of people honest. Some people are really fucking pathetic, sad sack people. I could just sit here laying into people and saying what a piece of shit they are. But it wouldn't make me happy. Doesn't make me feel good about myself. It isn't gratifying to me, to take somebody apart that way. And as they say in Latin, homo sum nihil ami alienum puto. I can type that one out for you. I am human. Nothing is strange to me. Nothing is entirely alien to me. When he wants to check my Latin, quick Google search will probably show you that I've gotten some kind of spelling mistake. I don't have Latin spell check on this computer, right? Oh, I wrote a book not too long ago. No More Manifestos. And yeah, part of me has to wonder. I was thinking this in court. I was dealing with the judge. I wondered if the whole book would have a harder edge if I wrote it now, like after this day in court. Because the book contains a very, very hard-hitting critique of what's wrong with the court system, with the justice system broadly defined, including the courts and philosophy of law, nature of written law. And sure, my earlier experience in this court case, it was a minor contributing source of inspiration. But like what I was thinking when I went through my court case in France, it's a different court case. I was thinking again now in Thailand, like the problem isn't just that there's no justice for me. Like think about the advantages I went into this situation with. If there's no justice for me, there's no justice for anyone, right? Like I said to my mom at one point, this is about the court case in France, but you'll see it's parallel. I said to my mom at one point, you are a knight in 3 countries, I believe. Like in Canada, she's a member of the Order of Canada. In France, she's a chevalier. Like I forget, but she's a member of the Order of France. And I'm sorry, I forget. I think there's one other country where she has this kind of like formal on paper like royalty status. You want to say ridiculous aristocratic appellation added to your name. She has some medal she can fucking wear. Okay, so like think about who my mother is. Think about what political connections she has. And she thinks she can speak French. I do not believe my mother can speak French, but she knows enough French to delude herself into thinking she can speak French. I remember saying to my mother, okay, think about who you are. You're a member of this and that order. Think about how much privilege you've got going into this court case. And this is like the simplest court case in the history of the world. I'm trying to get divorced. And you cannot get your own son a divorce lawyer. Like you can't move this case forward. Like this has been impossible for you. Like there's no justice for me. And my mother can't help me, like can't even get a lawyer, can't even get a day in court, can't get anything done on this, right? That went on for years and years and years, that process. Like, okay, what about people who are actually poor and voiceless? You know what I mean? What about people who who can't phone up somebody they've known for years in a position of power and get advice? You know what I mean? Like somebody who doesn't have the kind of connections you have in France or in Canada, And my mother has those connections because her whole career has been in museums and art galleries. And naturally, guess who owns museums and art galleries? Museums and art galleries are owned by some of the richest and most powerful people in the world. Now, my mother herself is not one of the richest and most powerful people in the world. But everywhere she goes, she knows people, both in the government and in the private sector, from the world of museums and art galleries. And she's made those connections over a lifetime. And, credit where it's due, a lifetime of very, very hard work. So, and again, she's gotten these awards. So, okay, think about it. There's no, my mom's name is Gail. I've had her on the channel before. Think about it, Gail. If there's no justice for you, if there's no justice for me, who do you think there's justice for? Oh, do you think the poor and downtrodden have an easier time? Do you think the poor and voiceless and downtrodden? And dude, think about the performance I just put on in court. So now we're switching. I'm not talking about the French case. I'm talking about the case here in town. Think about what a charismatic, well-spoken presence I am in court. I really do stand up for myself. I stand up for myself. How about the people who have a stutter? How about people who are just kind of shy? Made a video in the past philosophizing with the nature of shyness. By the way, what about people who are in plain English cowards? What about someone who's kind of nervous and trembling? Like, I got on the microphone like an MC in court today, man. And that's a huge part of what this whole thing was about too, in terms of people trying to take me down and people having a sense of glee in it. I just said to a friend of mine, not a close friend, by the way, but I said to a friend of mine, look, man, you have to realize when my daughter was born, my first wife and I, now my ex-wife, my first wife and I had a particular hospital booked. So we went, we met the nurses, we got the guided tour, particular hospital where we were going to give birth. So you can imagine, you don't like exactly reserve a day and time, but you make arrangements and fill out some paperwork. And that's the hospital you're going to give birth. The head surgeon, the doctor who was in the most powerful position in that hospital, he kicked us out. He said no. And like legally, he had to come up with a pretext for why we couldn't give birth there, like in terms of filling out the paperwork. Like he can't just say, I don't like you or something, right? So he had to come up with some explanation. And the nurses said to us, this was reported to us verbatim, and the nurses were shocked. They said, the doctor says he won't deliver the baby because he finds your husband intellectually intimidating. That's what they said to my wife. This doctor would not deliver my baby because he finds me intellectually intimidating. I speak French at like a grade 3 level. Like he communicated with me in French and like to some extent translation through my wife. And like, so what? Does he only deliver babies for stupid people? Does he only deliver babies for people where he feels comfortable lording his superiority over them, where he feels he gets to gloat while he's at work? Like, what the fuck is wrong with humanity? This is a huge part of what's wrong with humanity. Like, sorry, you're insecure around me. Like, bruh, I need help. I need a doctor to deliver the baby in my pregnant wife. We rented a place, like we got all set up. It's not worth explaining. We rented a temporary accommodation near this hospital. It was walking distance. It wasn't just walking distance. It was a really short walk. And if my wife weren't capable of walking, we went to give birth, I could get a wheelchair and wheeler, up the street basically to the hospital. So we had it all planned out. And this doctor sabotaged our plan. Fucked us right up. We're like past 9 months pregnant. We've got to find a new doctor, find a new hospital. We've got to get a whole new plan. Because this doctor found me intellectually intimidating. Guess what? I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't mind that you find me intimidating. I don't wake up in the morning and wish I was a fucking pussy like you. Like, think about the life I've lived. Think about the things I chose to study. I did not come on YouTube to be the next Ben Shapiro. I'm not trying to be the meanest and most cutthroat person in conservative politics commentary. You know what I'm saying? I'm not competing with Lauren Southern for who can make the most edgy, outre, dog whistle extremist statement to get donor money. You know what I mean? Like, there are some people out here who are playing really rough contact sports in politics. What did I want to do with my life? Oh yeah, right. Buddhist philosophy. I went into Buddhist philosophy. Okay. I'll tell you some shit, man. I've seen people with PhDs break down weeping in front of me. Like, it's fucking pathetic. Like, you choose to go into a field like Buddhist philosophy. Now, within Buddhist philosophy, I'm not even doing the most mainstream thing. I'm doing Pali, doing the ancient scriptural language. And then I'm dealing with like political reality, which nobody else wants to deal with. Things like slavery, right? Stuff nobody else wants to talk about. Not worth digressing to describe the kind of work I'm doing. Doing contemporary politics and modern history too, and how these things are connected. I became a scholar of Buddhism. And just like that surgeon in France, everybody's afraid of me. Nobody wants to work with me. Nobody wants to help me. Everyone's afraid of me. Everyone's intellectually intimidated. Nobody even wants to debate the philosophy with me. Nobody wants to talk about history, politics, linguistics. No. All people are animals. Not all animals are people. These fucking people, whether you're talking about the Buddhist monks or the secular scholars of Buddhism, who can be just as fucking insane as the monks. They can be way more insane than the monks. But the people with PhDs or academic specialists in Buddhism, they can be a member of a cult. They can be a leader of a cult. The fact that you have a university degree in Buddhism does not mean you're not a kooky cult follower, guys. All those people responded to me like I was the biggest, meanest, toughest guy in the prison cell. It's just pathetic. All of them responded to me as if it's just like, oh, watch out. This guy's smarter than you. This guy's going to eat your food. This guy's going to beat you up and take your lunch money. This guy is going to steal your girlfriend. It's like, my problem is not that these environments are competitive. I'd love it if they were more competitive, right? The problem is they're competing on the wrong level. Like, obviously, we can repeat all this about veganism. It's exactly the same. Like, oh, does anyone want to compete on the level of political philosophy? Does anyone want to compete to see what's the best ideas, or even the level of praxis? Talk about whether it's vegan activism, or whatever. Do people want to compete on this? So no. People want to compete in the level of tearing each other down by making up stories about their ex-wives, by making up stories about their private sex life. People want to compete on the level of who can destroy the other person's reputation. It's just told this story before, but there was a woman with a PhD. She was in a powerful position then. She's still in a powerful position now. So the PhD, and she was at Cambridge. And, we had a couple emails back and forth because she wrote an article about Buddhism. I could take this thing apart, man. Everything was wrong with this article. It's just full of what I call Santa Claus errors, by which I mean errors equivalent to a Christian not knowing the difference between Jesus and Santa Claus. Like if someone was a scholar of Christianity and they're making errors on this level, like they think Santa Claus is the same person as the historical Jesus or something, bruh. Yeah, it was full of Santa Claus errors, that level of factual. Anyway, and I wrote her a couple of emails, and I'm just being real. I wasn't being mean, but I was telling her exactly what she needed to hear. Exactly. I was telling her exactly what was wrong with her fucking peer-reviewed paper, because we're talking about things that are wrong. Not my opinion, not interpretive lens, not, no. Wrong. Embarrassingly, laughably wrong. So she can now correct, she should pay me for that. Okay. And, I remember I also just laid into what she said about meditation. I said, look, man, if you lift weights on a bench and then just, clench your fist and flex the muscle in your arm as hard as you can for as long as you can, time it, really push it to the limit. So you're not even lifting anything. You're just flexing it mentally, and then stop. If you flex that muscle as long as you can that way, when you stop, there's going to be some kind of tingling, isn't there? There's going to be some kind of odd sensation as you relax the muscle at the end of it. Why do you think it would be so different with your brain? Like if you do these fucking meditation exercises, okay, so you're pushing your brain to its limit in a certain totally counterproductive way. It's unlike building muscle mass, doesn't help you. Okay, so you're squeezing your brain in the same way you can squeeze a muscle. You're putting it into this uncomfortable, strained state. And then you relax. And you're really surprised that there's some kind of vague tingling sensation. And then you're going to like manufacture this religious mythology that this is like a state of enlightenment, that this is some kind of transcendental insight you've had, that actually that you're superior to other people. Surprise, surprise. Convince yourself that you're some kind of enlightened being. You're now superior to the other Buddhist monks. You're superior to your own parents and grandparents. Oh yeah, you've figured out some kind of profound truth, right? Because of a tingling sensation in your mind that you managed to induce. You managed to intentionally induce like a vague tingling sensation. So, it was an email. It was more pithy. It wasn't that many words long. It really wasn't. It was more carefully composed and written. All right. When she got the email, she broke down weeping. And the reason I know that is that when she met up with my ex-wife, just by accident, she bumped into my ex-wife in the fucking grocery store. And she broke down weeping in the grocery store, explaining to my ex-wife that she'd broken down weeping before because she was so upset by this fucking email. I didn't go into look at Ben Shapiro. Look at what the fuck he's doing. Look at his act. Look at the means he employs and think about the objectives he's going after, right? Think about what I was trying to accomplish in Buddhist philosophy. Think about what I was trying to accomplish in the politics of Southeast Asia, Cambodia, Laos, Thailand, Sri Lanka, this area, but also later China. Later, my scope expanded to include China, Japan. But it started out Theravada, Southeast Asia. Think about what I was trying to accomplish in humanitarian work and in research linked to humanitarian work. I can keep going through these different fields I've worked in, different areas of aspiration and ambition in my life. We can talk about what was I trying to accomplish, my involvement with Korean and Ojibwe, languages, politics, right? I didn't choose to go into a kind of competitive, knockdown, drag out arena that Ben Shapiro chose to go into, right? I went into all of these arenas, all these different fields of endeavor, completely trying to cooperate with others, completely trying to subordinate myself to others, trying to follow others, trying to let other people lead me and trying to have friends and trying to work with colleagues. And the vast majority of people in each one of these arenas, whether they were younger than me or much older than me, like across the whole span of ages, the vast majority of these people just responded to me the same way that surgeon in France did. And to make it a little bit more precise, they responded to me also in the same way I was saying Durianrider did, Vegan Ava did, Joe Best did. A lot of these people responded to me not just hating me because I was smarter than them, because I knew more than them, and I knew more than them about their area of expertise, right? But they responded to me with a particular kind of fear and self-loathing because I really was what they pretended to be. And I really knew the things that they pretended to know, but were ignorant of. Yeah, we got a comment. Finally, a stream for the Asian time zones. Yeah, you're lucky I'm awake at all, man. This may seem like a random example because it is. I had a debate with Mod Vegan on this channel. Most of you have no memory who Mod Vegan is. So just type out the name. That's so long ago now. And her channel is gone. She's disappeared from the internet for a long time. She has her excuses, but they're excuses, not reasons. I did like 5 minutes of research before that debate with Mod Vegan. And it was about her area of expertise. It was about exactly the area she had earned a master's degree in, right? She speaks Spanish fluently. She spent time in Colombia and South America. This is her area of expertise, not mine. And she was totally ignorant about like things that you could read in Wikipedia in 5 minutes, like things I read, just doing a little bit of preparation for the interview. Now, it's not just ignorance. There was also malice, stupidity, dishonesty, real lies. She lies throughout the whole thing. And they are not just lies she tells me. They're lies she tells herself. So that was in its way a deeply disturbing example. And Mod Vegan never talked to me again. Now, why? I think people can cope with, some people, let's say, at least some people can cope with acknowledging that person is smarter than I am. That person is better informed than I am in their field of expertise. That's not a threat to my ego. So I don't play trombone. I don't mind if you play the trombone better than I do and you know more about trombone. You know more about rhythm, right? What people really freak out about. And that's exactly what happened with Mod Vegan. Mod Vegan comes to do this interview with me, and she thinks she's going to walk all over me because this is her area of expertise and I don't know what I'm talking about. Well, what happens in the interview is that she doesn't know what she's talking about. And it was not planned that way at all. I end up exposing the fact that she's balefully ignorant of her own area of expertise. I know more than she does. And she's also pretty close to insane. Like the depth of self-deception and incoherence is tantamount to insanity. Okay? So like that's what's revealed in that interview. That was somebody who was my friend. Right? She wasn't my boss. She wasn't my colleague. She wasn't a professor at the university I was at or something. She wasn't even another student at the university. That was someone who was my friend. And she said, I mean, it's not true. This is what she said. She said that she started her YouTube channel because she was inspired by me. She was directly inspired by my YouTube channel. And in response to my YouTube channel, decided to start her own, taking it in her own direction. It wasn't an imitation of my YouTube channel, but it was a response to and kind of intellectual precedent set by my YouTube channel, because most of the other YouTube channels at that time were just, telling you to wear a bikini and feel great about this shit. So here in Thailand, there's the old lawyer and the new lawyer. And there's a translator today. I woke up at 4 a.m. this morning. Actually, it was more like 3:30 a.m. It was before 4 a.m. I slept last night about 11:30 p.m. till 3:30 a.m. I tried to get some more sleep, but then I just one of those things. You wake up at 3:30, then you lie there. But yeah, I was out of bed before 4 a.m., maybe 3:45. I didn't sleep much, but I was up early. The guy who was the translator today got a phone call at 7:30 a.m. saying, hey, it's an emergency. We need you to go to Courthouse and translate Thai into English Thai for this court case. Why? Court case is scheduled for 9 a.m. Why did the translator only receive an invitation at 7:30 a.m.? He did a great job. Hardworking, intelligent translator. I really appreciate what I said to him many times that he did a better job than the other guy who could have been there. Like, I'm really glad he came. In a sense, my team of lawyers have had like many months to prepare for the case today, but in a sense, they've had years, right? This has been going on for what? 5 years? Are we up to 6 years yet for this case? Like, I'm sorry, the exact date when the first paperwork was filed, I don't remember. But like this story as a whole goes back 6 years. Why was the translator only called at 7:30 a.m.? Now, I've appeared in court here in Chiang Mai 3 times. That does not mean there were only 3 dates that there was a hearing at the court. There have been many, many other hearings for this case at the court, but I personally attended 3 of them. The first one that I attended, the head lawyer, the old lawyer, as I'm calling her, contrast to the new lawyer. The old lawyer came to my hotel, chatted with me. We got some kind of drink together. I forget, something like a mango smoothie, something like that. We got some kind of drink together. We chatted, and he brought me to the courthouse. So it's called a courthouse, but it's a large complex. You know, if you don't have your lawyer to take you in through security and go to the correct room, it's not like you have to know where to go, and you really need someone to walk you in. You know, someone who knows what they're doing, because it's a big sprawling courthouse, and there's more than one building in the complex. You can go to the wrong building. This kind of thing. Look, I'm not trying to overhype this for you guys, but my point is, if you are not a lawyer who speaks Thai, you are unlikely to go to the right place unless, your lawyer takes you. So long in advance, I say to my lawyer, okay, I bought the airplane ticket. Okay, this is the hotel I'm staying at. Like he knows what day I'm going to be there. And I'm saying to him, okay, you're going to come here and meet me at the hotel, right? Like it's going to be like the same thing as the first time. So court is scheduled to begin at 9 a.m. I haven't had any emails from my lawyer, the old lawyer. I'm up before 4 a.m., kind of prepare everything. You just think about what's in each pocket. No email, no phone call. Time is going by. At 9 a.m., at the time that case is supposed to start, I go to the bellhop, the hotel front desk staff. I give them the phone number for my lawyer. And I'd already been speaking to them, in Thai, but not very well, but in like broken Thai. I'd been explaining to them, said, look, my lawyer may call here. My lawyer may show up at the front door in a taxi or something. Like there may be someone asking for me, because that's what I was expecting. So my lawyer at 9 a.m. gets a call from a completely unknown phone number. He answers. Now, already, this is it. Why? Like, do you answer at all? Like, gets a call from a completely unknown phone number. And it's me screaming at him. It's 9 a.m. Where the hell are you? Why didn't you respond to my emails? Why didn't you come on? Case was today at 9 a.m. He had to travel from Bangkok to Chiang Mai. Logically, he would have at least done that the day before, right? Spend one night in a hotel or something. He claims that at the last minute, he couldn't come to court because he had a heart attack. That's what he said in English. The other lawyer told me that in Thai, he used more complex words for a particular problem with his heart. So, I don't know what that is. Obviously there's a translation gap here, but some kind of heart condition allegedly has suddenly impaired him. I'm talking to him over the phone. I straight up say to him, I don't believe a fucking word you're saying to me. I don't believe anything you're fucking telling me. Like, if you had a heart attack this morning unexpectedly, you would already be here in Chiang Mai for the court case, right? And like, if you had the heart attack yesterday, like other elements of the story wouldn't make sense. And obviously you could have a heart attack 3 days before or a week before and still not be able to go to court today. But then you would have made these arrangements further in advance. Why was the translator called at 7:30 in the morning? He had to clear his schedule, right? Why would the translator be called at the last minute? And think about it. This is really high level stuff. Like, in terms of language. Think about the challenge of the translator. You want this translator to show up with zero preparation and knowing nothing about the case? How's that going to work out? Like, obviously, you want to prepare the statement with the translator so they know what's being done. No. So this translator never even heard of. No, never even heard of. Great question from the audience. What are you doing in Thailand? Can you guess? Can you guess why I came to Thailand, Richard? came here for a court case, which we're in the middle of describing. So the new lawyer is there. The new lawyer admits to me eventually she only got a call asking her to show up that morning at 8 a.m. That's what she said. So the lawyer who's supposed to represent me, no offense, I like her. I think like I'm very happy with her. I'm very appreciative of her. But the lawyer who's supposed to represent me shows up, zero preparation, knowing none of the facts of the case. And she hasn't even been told, like, look, this is going to be hard. You got to get your shit together. Like, you know, she hasn't even been told, like, oh, like, you should go meet with this guy, like, meet me. Like, even if she had met me half an hour before the court case, like, like, asked me what, no. This is so typical of Thai culture. She was told at 8 a.m., oh, go to the courthouse. Don't worry. You won't have to really do anything at all. Just like hand the paperwork to the judge. Like, it's no big deal. Like, it's an easy case. She was like reassured this is no big deal. So like I come into her life, the new lawyer. She has met me before. She has. It's not worth telling the whole story. I'm not a complete stranger. She has some distant recollection of me from like a couple years ago. Right? I come into this lawyer's life screaming on the phone. I've just been shouting at the old lawyer and telling him straight to his fucking face, "Oh, you say you had a heart attack. Well, guess what? I don't believe you. I don't believe a goddamn word coming out of your mouth." If he had a heart attack, when did he have it? Today? If he had it today, how did he call this lawyer? How is he talking to me now? Like, gee, your voice sounds completely normal. You sound completely rational and composed and well-rested. Like, when did you have the heart attack? You had the heart attack at 6 a.m.? And then you called this guy at 7:30 and you called that lawyer at 8? Like, none of it makes sense. It's not possible, right? And like, again, if you had the heart attack a week ago, so what? Does this come some kind of magic heart attack that makes you incapable of reading and replying to an email from me, but leaves you perfectly capable in all other capacities? It's like, it so much seems like someone offering an excuse and a distraction for their incompetence. But do I know? Do I know for a fact that he did never? No, I don't know. I'm just telling you. Like, so if I look back at the list of emails, oh, and sorry, it's something else. When I called him, so I got him on the phone, calling him from an unknown phone number, which he answers at 9 a.m. Just, well, that also is weird to me. So why did you answer the phone at 9 a.m. when a complete stranger calls? It's just weird to me. I'm screaming at him. I'm here at the hotel. I told you I'd be here. Where are you? Like, you know, the court case has already started. And he didn't know what hotel I was staying at. Like, he wasn't pretending that. He was sincere. He was like, well, what hotel? Where? Like he really, you could tell he really sincerely knows. So I'm just going to check the date. When did I email him to tell him the exact address of the hotel and everything? Because again, so there are different reasons for that. But you know, one of them just is like, I don't have a phone number in Thailand, so you've basically got to communicate with me by email or something like Facebook Messenger or something. And you know, like the worst case scenario is you can phone the front desk staff at the hotel. If the person knows the hotel you're at and you don't have a phone number that works, they can phone the front desk. The front desk will come and get me, right? Okay, so I told him the hotel I was at on July 7th. Today is July 18th. Like, so, and this part I believe, like, I don't think he's lying with this. He had not read, like, based on the conversation, he had not read the email I sent on July 7th, and he had not read any of the emails I'd sent to him more recently. Now, we also didn't reply to them, like, you know, like from my perspective, like in that sense, he didn't do what a lawyer ought to do. But based on the conversation, it genuinely seemed like he had no idea like where I was staying at the hotel or that I expected him to meet me at the hotel. This guy is just being sorry, but he's being a complete idiot on the phone. He's just saying like, "Oh, you need to go to the courthouse. You know they are waiting for you." Like, I mean, like the dishonesty also of what he's saying. He didn't say like, "Oh, hey, a lawyer who knows absolutely nothing about your case got a call at 8 a.m." Like, even if you've got to do that, even if like let's just charitably make the best excuse possible to this fucking guy. Why wouldn't you call me at 7:30 and say, look, it's really important that you go and talk to this lawyer for an hour or half an hour and help the lawyer catch up? Like, you and the lawyer and the translator need to meet at least half an hour before the court case starts, but preferably an hour. Again, I've been awake since 4 a.m. But it would make sense if you said, look, you need to be there at like 7:30 so that between 7:30 and 9, you and the translator can help the lawyer catch up. The translator gets familiar with the ins and outs of the case. You guys need to prepare a statement. You need to rehearse the questions you're going to do. Like, he could have, even if it was that last minute, he could have been honest with everyone about what the challenge was and prepared us and put us in a position to cope. No, instead he lies to and deceives everyone. Now, like, again, like, okay, look, I'm not stating as a fact that he didn't have a heart attack. I don't know that, okay? I'm saying that's what I screamed at him at the phone in that moment. And I'm saying that to me, a heart attack does not easily explain why it is you didn't read or respond to any of my emails over a period of weeks or months leading up to this, but including in the last couple of days. And guys, like, this is the law. This is the practice law. And he knew this case was coming up. He knew about this long in advance, many months in advance, right? I mean, in a sense, he knows about the case generally for 5 years, but this particular court date, right? Lawyers do have heart attacks sometimes. That's something that happens. Every country in the world, in every legal practice, you are prepared. You have a lawyer and a secretary who will step in if one of the lawyers gets struck by lightning, if one of the lawyers has a car accident, if one of the lawyers has a heart attack. That's pretty normal in the practice of the law, my dude. Like, you can get malaria, you get anything. You can have a broken leg. There's so many reasons why a lawyer has to suddenly exit a case or suddenly reduce his involvement, right? I cannot think of any way that a heart attack explains why he hadn't read or responded to my emails over this period of time and why this lawyer and this translator were called the same morning as the case itself, like 7:30 a.m. and 8 a.m. That's according to them. That's when they said they got the call. And like, you know, just imagine if you were in that translator's position. He did a great job, the translator. Or you're in the new lawyer's position. You get a call at 8 a.m. Hey, at 9 a.m., there's a case. And he didn't even say to her, so it's the new lawyer's female. He didn't even say to her, like, you're going to have to work your ass off in the next hour to prepare this. It's this whole fucking culture of as we say in Lao, bo pen yang. Oh, bo pen yang, mai pen lai. Like, oh, it'll be fine. Just show up and like do the thing with the paperwork. Just go through my, like, dude, this was an incredibly dramatic day in court. All right, and not just because of my character, you know, which adds tension, right? You know what I was saying before about how I was intimidating to that surgeon in France? You know what I was saying before? I was intimidating to like professors of Buddhist studies, like how I was intimidating to people in the big movement. You know what? I mean, in that courtroom, I'm not real far from the judge. The judge hears and responds to everything I'm saying. And I'm seeing him very closely. I mean, and I said to the judge at one point, don't ask my lawyer, ask me the question, because this lawyer doesn't know anything about the case. I can tell you, I'll tell you the truth about what happened. I wasn't saying this to insult the lawyer, but she had just been assigned. And like, there's a sense in which she did take responsibility, and that's great. But there's a sense in which she can't be responsible. with this kind of very dramatic deposition, very dramatic testimony, normally a lawyer would take at least a day, if not a week or something, and prepare exactly what the statement is going to be, exactly what the question and answer are going to be. They're going to think strategically about it, and they're going to talk to you as the client, and find out what your story is and what the best way is. So we none of this. And no offense, but like, the judges are asking questions about the legal documents. And this new, she's barely looked at them. Like, she's flipping through, like she did the best she could. But like, whoever is in her position should know those documents like the back of her hand. And so we had some time sitting in the hall. This is, again, in terms of the relationship with the judges, there was a lot of shouting. There was a lot of drama, including shouting in the hall, right? Like, but sorry, you guys, in case you're imagining like a huge space, the complex is big, but like the actual courtroom is small, and the hall, it's a small space, and it's a permanently open glass door. So like there's no, in this case, there's no door, there's no wall separating you from the judge. So you're only like, you're standing just outside the room, glass wall, open door, and the judge is hearing you. And I'm really shouting at this lawyer. Like, it's dramatic. And you know what? It's credit to them. Nobody told me to calm down. Nobody told me to quiet down. Everyone realized, like, this is intense for a reason. I appreciate that. I appreciate that nobody tried to fuck with me. I appreciate that, like, security guards didn't try to throw me out. Like, this isn't something that's dramatic for no fucking reason, guys. But yeah, like in terms of my relationship with the judge, and I'm not at liberty to say everything about. I'm not. Like, I wouldn't even describe this as self-censorship. This is just a lack of liberty. Okay. There's some things I can't say. But in court, I was very candid. I was very candid with the judge, including that moment where the judge is asking the lawyer, and like the lawyer isn't faking. She's like, I don't know. Let me look through these papers. I just said to Judge, no, speak directly to me. Because like I've been on this case for 6 years, and this lawyer started today. The new lawyer, she took on the case this morning at 8 a.m. She can't answer your question. I can. I know the answer, So, like, in this sense, I was being very confrontational with the judges at the beginning. And it's judges plural, by the way, multiple judges in the room at the same time working the case. And I don't think the okay, so I shouldn't speculate about that. I'll say this. I am not sure to what extent the heart attack scenario was explained to the judges. I believe they were told the lawyer who's here today is not the lawyer who was supposed to be here today. But like, I just don't know to what extent that was kind of smoothed over and made more polite and obsequious. For one thing, my level of comprehension of the Thai language is not high enough. But I don't know to what extent the judges were told heart attack, 7:30 a.m., 8 a.m. Like, that I don't know. So, the problem is not that there's no justice for me. The problem is that there's no justice for anyone. Democracy gets a bad name because the court system in Athens killed Socrates. But dude, this democracy thing, we really ought to try it, man. We really ought to give it a second chance. Look at how courts were organized in ancient Athens, the ancient Athenian court system. I'm saying it's better than what we've got now in Thailand. It's better than what we've got in France. It's better than what we've got in Canada. It's not perfect. They killed Socrates, among other things. Sorry, I won't get his name right. But, when I was researching my video, Socrates Must Die, great video. think I have 2 different videos of that in the title, actually. But, you know, I looked at some primary source court records from ancient Athens, where it's just written out. It's just transcription of what got said in court. And it really gives you a sense of the flavor of the debates they had, the theater that went on in that court system. Think about the advantages I have going into the scenario. So if you guys didn't see it, I put up a video just a couple days ago where I'm saying, I'm not afraid to go to jail. I'm not afraid to go to jail in Thailand. I'm especially comfortable going to jail in Thailand. It was true. I mean, I was really confident that way. Like, oh, if this ends up with me in jail in Thailand, you know, it'd be good career move for me. I could spend a couple years in jail here, get fluent in the language, lose some weight. I think I would. I've seen examples of people who went to jail in Thailand and got fatter and fatter. So that specifically in Thai prison, people gain weight. People say the food is good. Other things about prison conditions here are terrible, but they don't complain about the food. They say the food's pretty good. Sleeping on the floor with rats. That's the main thing people complain about. Lying on the floor directly with rats. That's probably the main thing they complain about. But not the food. I went into this as someone who knew Chiang Mai, who was familiar with the city, the country, the legal system. I had a history of living here and working here, Thailand. You know, I'm someone who went into this with a fan base willing to donate thousands of dollars to pay for the lawyers and the travel fees, right? And I'm just being real with you. I have spent more money than I received in donations. It's just the reality of travel. Like, think about how many flights I had to do back and forth. I mean, sorry, thank you all for your support. But if you think any of this money ended up in my savings, no, much more has been spent than was received. Okay, I shouldn't say it. More has been spent than was received. Whether or not it's much more, it's too subjective to say that. But anyway, you know, like, think about the advantages I had going into this, including the support of you guys in the audience. And then just think about the fact that I am the kind of character who can stand there in the middle of the courtroom and say to the judge, no, don't ask the lawyer, ask me. Like, I'm here, you know, and that in a very dramatic, very self-confident way, you know, I'm able to speak truth to power. I'd say one of the funniest moments in the court case was when the judge asked me what I did for a living. And, you know, again, I can understand some Thai. Like, you know, there is a translator, but I'm listening to it in Thai and then I'm listening to it. And the judges, well, they seem genuinely interested. And so, you know, like, you've had this long series of questions to which I gave very hard-hitting, very honest answers immediately. You can ask a question and immediately lay into it with gusto. And they say, oh, what do you do for a living? It's like there's a pause. Author. I guess you could say I write books. And they asked further. The judges seemed interested. And it's probably just because I'm such an unusual character. You know, oh, what do you do? How do you know? They asked like a follow-up question, like basically saying, like, tell me more about your job or your career. What do you do? And this is what I said. I said, the first time I came to Chiang Mai, I was a scholar of Buddhism. I was studying Pali. I was studying Buddhism. For about 10 years of my life, I was a scholar of Buddhism. But I moved on. I used to write about Buddhist philosophy. Now I write about other kinds of philosophy. I write about political philosophy. I write about history. So in this way, I became an author. So this is also simple enough that it can be translated. And the judge is like, oh, very interestingly, the vow I had to take. So you guys are probably familiar with American vows, that when you go into court in the United States of America, you take a vow on a Bible to tell the truth and the whole truth. And you probably know this even if you're not American, because so many movies and TV shows are made in the United States. They gave me a vow to swear that was not just specifically Buddhist. It was uniquely and specifically based on the relic of Doi Sutep, the mountain here in Chiang Mai that Durianrider used to ride his bike up. In the Chiang Mai Courthouse, when you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. That's not the phrasing. That's not the vow you make. But there's a unique vow that you're going to tell the truth, which is not to Buddhist philosophy in general, not to the teaching of the Buddha, not Buddhist cosmology. You are making a vow to the sacred reliquary in the Buddhist temple on the top of Doi Sutep, a mountain here in Chiang Mai. Wow. I did not see that coming. And I did tell the truth. And I told the truth with passion and gusto. And guys, I am not optimistic about what happens next in this court case. And I'm not really concerned for me. I'm concerned for the future of the vegan movement. I'm concerned for the future of being an intellectual on YouTube, being an intellectual on planet Earth, frankly. And I'm concerned because I know I went into this with a ton of advantages nobody else has, a ton of privileges, whatever you want to say. And it's not just that there's no justice for me. There's no justice for anyone else as well.